Okay. Hi everyone, I'm Sonal, and I'll talk a bit about BikeSpace. So, what is BikeSpace? Not towards you a little bit. Okay. So, it's an online tool where cyclists can report bicycle parking issues across the city. Uh, so, I'll ask you what the issue was, where it happened, and when it happened. The idea behind BikeSpace is to gather evidence on where cyclists are encountering issues when they're trying to park their bicycles across the city. Okay, so what do I mean by issues? So issues like maybe the bike rack you were trying to lock was full, or there was no parking options, and like you have to improvise. Or yeah, every now and then you will see bicycles that are abandoned on a bike post. So issues like this. I'm gonna jump right into a demo of how to use BikeSpace. So you can go to bikespace.ca. There's a little button here that will take you to the actual application. Um, Well, there you go. This is the first page. It'll ask you what kind of issue it was. So you can select either one or all four. So I'm gonna, yeah. So these are the most common ones that we've found during past research we've done for bike space. So yeah, whether it's not provided, it's full, it's damaged, or abandoned, or if it doesn't fit. I mean, if none of these fit, then you can always say something else. You can click one or as many as all of them. And the next one is the most important part, where it happened, where the issue was. So if you're on your mobile browser, it'll grab your location, but you don't need to give it access to your location. You can do it at home or like anytime later. So you can always just drag the pin to where it actually happened. So that's the location part. And like when it happened. So if it happened at this moment, then it'll just grab the current time and date. But yeah, if you're at home and earlier during the day you remember something, you can always set the date to something else. And like how long were you looking to park your bike for? So it's in minutes, overnight, or a couple of days. And that's pretty much it. And there's one more tab to add any additional comments you want that could help out. Um, and that's it. You'll get one last view to see what you're submitting. And that's it. You have submitted to BikeSpace. So, and yeah, so it's that easy to use. Trying to get through the tabs. Okay, yeah, I just wanted to show our API as well. So our API is publicly accessible. So if you do want to integrate directly with the BikeSpace API, you can. So the documentation is here. So if you want to do your own analysis on all the data that is already in BikeSpace, it's publicly accessible. So the quick demo on what kind of data there is. So yeah, you can get all the data that is currently on BikeSpace from this API. So what you see here is exactly what it is in the database, nothing more, nothing less. And if you want to run your own analysis on your own time, you can. That's just for getting all the data. If you want to write your own little programming script to submit the data, you can easily interface with it as well. The front end just uses this API, so what you see is what the actual BikeSpace uses as well. So yeah, that's the API. Okay, I'll go back to so I'll talk a little bit about how BikeSpace is implemented. Our source code is open source and it's on GitHub. So you can go to GitHub/BikeSpace and you'll be able to see all our source code. And the front end is written in TypeScript. It's bundled up with, it's bundled using React and Gatsby. It produces a static site. So that means it doesn't require a front-end server to serve all the front-end components. And the front end is served using Cloudflare. So they can serve the static site for free. It's the same concept as GitHub pages. So if you have a static HTML page, they will serve it for free. The Cloudflare also manages our DNS, so it works nicely just to use one service for multiple things. And the only thing that's actually running on the machine is our backend API and our database. So those two things are posted on a service called Fly.io. It's like the new Heroku. They have a very new, they have a very generous free tier. Yeah, so the API is written in Python using the Flask framework, and the database we use is a Postgres database. So it's pretty small. I mean, it's not too complicated, the current setup. So yeah, that's the technical overview of how BikeSpace is implemented. Okay, next thing. Okay, I'll talk a little bit of history about BikeSpace. So this is actually the second iteration of BikeSpace. The first version was released back in 2018. So the city of Toronto began developing its bicycle parking strategy as part of its 10-year cycling network plan. And as part of that process, that idea for this crowdsourced bike parking app emerged. So the concept was presented here at Civic Tech back in July 2017, and it was quickly adopted by the community here. Over the year, more than 100 volunteers have worked on BikeSpace. So yeah, I want to mention that Code for Canada was BikeSpace's project administrator back then, and the city of Toronto actually provided Code for Canada with initial funding to work with the Civic Tech community to develop this BikeSpace. So they did that in terms and they actually had funding for a part-time project manager to oversee this, because it had grown pretty big at that point. And in 2019, the city of Edmonton forked BikeSpace to work on their city. So the first release, it was just locked down to the city of Toronto. With the city of Edmonton were interested. There's a couple of guys from the city of Edmonton that started contributing to BikeSpace. They helped out, and they were using it in Edmonton as a pilot as well. So yeah, and the application continued to run until about 2020. Although the maintenance on the application was minimal, or if not non-existent, and eventually it ceased to run during COVID. Fast forward to 2023, I'll talk a little bit about what it took to revive BikeSpace. So it hasn't been active for the last 2 or 3 years. So first, I had to understand why maintainability was such an issue for BikeSpace. So for a long-running open source project or any open source project, maintenance and upkeep should be factored in. So there was no plan for something like a maintenance during the conception of BikeSpace. It was more like, okay, let's build it and we're done. And there was nothing else after that. The first version of BikeSpace had a lot of wants from people. It was a very kitchen sink approach. So we tried to include everything imaginable. Nobody said no. Everybody said yes. So it's hard to maintain a system like that. So for example, the first version of BikeSpace had the ability to upload images as part of your submission. But with that, there was an ask for a moderation tool to make sure the images are okay. Which adds a level of complexity to the application, because now somebody has to actually log into the moderation tool and hit approve on the submitted data. So for this version, when I started rebuilding the application, I just started by removing that feature first of all, because the most valuable information that the application collects is the location. The pictures don't really add too much. It just adds more an overhead to run the application than a complement. So okay, and I'll talk a little about the Civic Tech community, because it's the success is how autonomous it is. Lots of people come and go here, go through there. They help out whenever they have time, which kind of has a transient nature to it. It's not really a problem. It's just how the community here works. We're all volunteers. We come participate and help out whenever we have time. So sustainability of a project has to account for that too. So I recognize this year I had the capacity to take on a role to revive BikeSpace, and I showed up every week and let everyone know that I'm working on BikeSpace. Some days no one will join, but some days you get lucky and someone will come help out. I wanted to give a quick shout out to Kevin over there, who helped build the front end for this version. So for a group this transient, a consistent maintainer was key. You just have to keep showing it. So yeah, what is BikeSpace's potential? Like, why BikeSpace? I mean, the potential when it first was started was is that when we start advocating or start having conversations with stakeholders at the city or the councilors about bicycle parking, we can actually have data to back it up. Advocacy groups or individuals can just have their own conversations with local businesses or private property owners about the need of bicycle parking in their area. So yeah, this is just evidence and data for anybody to have conversations about bicycle parking. So what's next for BikeSpace? The next thing we want to build is a data dashboard where you can visualize all the data that's gathered by BikeSpace. We used to have one for version 1, and yeah, we'd like to revive that next. And yeah, I'll do a quick demo of like a proof of concept of what we want the dashboard to look like. So we want it to be publicly accessible. Anybody can run their filters on it, on the all the data that's gathered by BikeSpace. So yeah, anybody can log on and just browse the data on what it is. And if you have, it should be this easy for anybody to just take what BikeSpace is collecting and just use it for whatever they need. So that's what we're building next. And yeah, how can you help, or everybody that can help? Is the biggest way everybody can actually help BikeSpace is using it. I know there are a lot of cyclists here, and it'd be great if we used it more. I was thinking about this recently. I'm pretty sure we had more people working on BikeSpace in the past than actually using it. So yeah, help with outreach and like getting the word about BikeSpace would be really great. I think that's all I had for today. So I'll open it up to questions.
Awesome, thank you. Right, so online people, if you have a question for Sonal, then please type a Q in the chat. Give you a minute to get those in. In the meantime, if you're in the room here, just stick your hand up, but please wait for the microphone before you speak because everyone would like to hear you. So we have one here already. Do you want?
So you mentioned. Hello? Okay. Or if you don't want to do that, you just paraphrase the question. So either So I guess my question is, I'm currently kind of in a project where it's sort of this, where you're talking about where everyone's saying yes to everything. How do you sort of manage that dynamic and kind of shoot people down, especially in this sort of like these large, there's like 40 people I think in it at this point, and they're just like it's turning into like hierarchy mapping and like roles, and it's getting a little wild. How would you kind of?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what it was earlier, like before at BikeSpace. It didn't really work until everybody disappeared. And I don't. Yeah, when you have that many stakeholders, it's tough. I don't really have an answer for that. I mean, I can only give you how it works now. When you like sit back and like look at like what didn't work as it's going on, like. I mean, the one thing that helped me figure that out was like I wanted this to last longer, or just make it easier to maintain. Those are like the two things that I'm like holding on to. So any decision I make on, or we make on, like what kind of frameworks we use, or what feature do we want to add, that's always in my head now. It's like
Nice. Let's throw to online. Do we have any questions online, Adam? Doesn't look like it. Okay. Anybody else? Do you want to come up? Because of the AV issues, we have to have people come up here.
So I've worked with a number of different community groups, Cycle Toronto, Toronto Community Bikeways, and Total Climate Action. There's a bunch of people that always talk about bike parking and mapping it, especially in the new areas. So how can we help you spread the word? Do you have, other than, you know, like you've got your website, but how can you get out of the echo chamber?
I mean, yeah, on our website, I mean, our landing page is somewhat, yeah, bikespace.ca. I mean, it kind of has a lot of blurb on its own, but yeah, I haven't had time to actually write anything that can just be handed out. But yeah, like
lots of groups are looking for the information to advocate.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, that's probably something. Yeah, like I said, we need help. Just either getting something like a press kit ready, or somebody to actually like forward all these newsletters. That would be great help.
Anybody else? Sure. Yeah. So the question was, how did the data from the original strategy, how was that worked into the implementation?
Yeah, so that's the thing. We don't know. I mean, the stakeholders were regulars here, but eventually, as the project dwindled down, the communication between the stakeholders actually in the city didn't continue on. So I'm not really sure how. Like, I don't have an answer for how it was actually used. But we're hoping something can change on that. We're trying to work with Open Data Toronto to at least publish our data, but where it goes from that, I don't know. But this is something like you can actually maybe from the you can take to your counselors yourself. It's like, hey, you got this data. Can we include this as part of the city's decision-making process? But yeah.
This is what insights have you got from the data?
Well, yeah, I mean, haven't got a chance to explore too much, but there's lots of, I think, gaps in parking outside of the downtown core. Even though a lot of submissions actually come from the downtown core, but that's where all the active cyclists are. But from what we've seen in some or me personally that have seen is like you go north of Bloor and anywhere of where the houses are, there's no bike parking at all. Like you either take your bike into your apartment or your house. There's nothing like that exists maybe north of Bloor or just Scarborough. I don't even know. Yeah, they're just getting bike lanes now. So.
Anybody? Does anybody online have a question? Do we have any of those?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope, you don't have any online.
It must have been a great presentation. Okay.
I'm sorry if you already said this, but I'm going to push on it a little bit further. What kind of maybe this do you have a particular ambition with BikeSpace or the impact that you'd like for it to have? And then the reason I'm asking that is to understand if there are people who are excited about the project and want to contribute, what kinds of skills would be especially useful to people? You talked about a press kit or sort of comms and promo. Are there other is that something that you are ready for help with, or you'll be ready for help with later, or have you thought through where it's going next and what help you need to get there?
Yeah, I think, yeah, the next, like the only thing I can think of currently right now is getting the usage up, and like actually start gathering like data, because the thing is built and ready, uh, and yeah, where it goes from there, I mean, like when we start, and then we can start talking about generating insights, uh, and actually creating these types of products that you can actually like use to uh, take it to the city or somebody else. But yeah, currently the biggest thing is just getting word out about BikeSpace. And sorry, I don't know if I answered.
No, no, that's good. Working on the noise meter project, I can relate very much to that. To that problem.
Nice. I think we have time for one more question. Yes. Yeah, if you want, yeah.
My question is also on the dashboard that you showed. I'm curious if that is real data, raw data, is that like stuff that you already can use just to understand the state of the
Yeah,
information that you have? And yeah.
yeah, this is real data. Yeah, this is data dating back. I mean, dating back to 2018 to now. So yeah, these are all. I mean, it's old, but yeah.
So it's stuff you can already do.
Yes. Yeah, so yeah, if you go on our GitHub actually, or yeah, you can use the API that I showed earlier to get the data. But I also try and publish the static data set here as well. So if you want it in a, so if you want it in a spatial format, so this is a GeoJSON. It's ready to be explored on its own out of the box. And this is
And the other question on the data is related to freshness. So would you be interested in something that was just reported, shown, like have you thought about this, something that you need more information on?
like, sorry. Yeah.
In terms of the data that you want to show in your dashboard, like
Uh-huh.
how fresh this needs to be,
Well,
like how recent this.
I'm gonna leave it up to the user to decide that. The filters will be there. If you want the fresh data, you should be able to filter for the fresh data. I don't want to manipulate it. But less overhead on me or anybody maintaining the project. You do the whole thing. You turn the knobs on how you want it.
Sweet. All right. Oh, we have, okay, maybe can we have one question from our online? Oh, type in question.
Only
Sure.
question, there is one question online, or it's more of a comment. It would be cool if there could be some integration with the city's donate a bench free program.
Yeah.
If,
Okay.
if somebody, like if there's a link that you can follow, because I think he's talking about also like maybe like an award or grant or some sort of investment if you are rebooting this, if you are rebooting the website.
Sorry, the volume's a little bit low, Adam. We didn't quite catch that. Can you say it again? Was it just a question that was typed?
George, well, read in the chat what George Bell wrote.
Oh, okay. Would it be cool if
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah. There was some integration with the city's donate a bench / tree program. Donate bike parking.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. Maybe for version 3.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, maybe for the future version.
For sure.
Yeah.
And there's another question. Is there any chance you could partner with Cycle or one of the other?
Yeah, I did. I mean, I had a talk with CycleTO. I think that would be great. They have a great reach out to the cycling community. Yeah, they're still talking. Or I did talk to Allison from CycleTO a while back. I just
Yeah.
have to follow up with her again.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be great, yeah. Yeah, in terms of, yeah, like it is advertised, like the open data team, they published a blog about it. That's as far as I've gone, but yeah. Yeah.
Nice. Awesome. Thank you very much for your questions, everyone, and thank you to Sonal for the presentation.